Okay, well, good evening. Welcome to the February meeting of Castlethorpe Parish Council. In tonight's meeting, there'll be discussion of a number of general issues in the Clerk's report that have previously been raised, including a list of outstanding highways matters. Our ward councillors, we've got Liam Andrews and Chris Wardle here with us this evening. We'll give an update from Milton Keynes Council, and I'll give an update on the Clubhouse project. There's only one planning matter this month, which is our own application to reduce one of the trees in Castle Field, which is leaning quite badly. And the previously a tree had actually fallen over, so that's why we had to have a survey done here. The resolutions tonight are to create a committee to interview candidates and appoint a groundsman for the sports ground, to sign a lease for the new clubhouse with the newly formed Castlethorpe Community Space CIC, which is needed now for one of the grant applications we're making. Now, Steve, Russell and I are part of Castlethorpe Community Space, so we can't take part in the decision and we'll have to leave the room. We'll answer any questions from the other three councillors in the open forum, should you have any, but we obviously can't be there when the decision's made. There's a resolution to change the rules so that dogs may be taken into the sports ground, providing they're kept on a lead and off the playing surfaces, and obviously picked up afterwards, and also to allow bicycles in the sports ground, which is, we'll deal with those separately. There's a resolution to consider the use of portable, they're called child bollards. They're not actual children, they're bollards that look like children. At the bottom of School Lane to ease parking issues there, which have been preventing some of the residents having vehicular access to their homes. And to agree the details of the public works loan that we need for the clubhouse. The decision in principle has already been made. This is about the details of how long we're going to take it out for and what method of repayment we have. There is a part two, which is to say a confidential part of the meeting, which will not be broadcast. Their decisions will be published. There are three items we'll consider: a quotation for legal fees for advice on Gobbis Field becoming a village green, an invoicing decision on the clubhouse so that we can manage our cash flow, and to decide if we'll accept a share of a quote for keeping the grass cut around the junction at Cosgrove with Yardley Road, where there's that triangle in the middle and often some high grass at the edge. So that's this evening's meeting. Without ado, let's move into the open forum. Are there any matters? No. Right, okay. Okay,
so Gobbis Field, I noticed it's not in part one, so I would like people to know what's going on. At the moment, I've given out 151 forms have been delivered. That was quite a few weeks ago now. 43 have been returned to me. Quite happy to pick them up, guys. The good news, 37 of those are 20 plus years, which is really, really nice. But that means that forms that have been delivered is about 17% of the population of Castlethorpe. So if you care at all about new huge great estates being built on our beautiful Gobbis Field, please ask for a form. I can get you one, I'll deliver it, I don't mind. And in all, I've had 5% of the population actually return it to me, which is not going to make a good case because it looks like people don't care. Sorry, I'm being blunt, but it's true.
Yeah.
If we don't get a good turnout for this, they'll just ride roughshod over it and just ignore what we've actually said about trying to turn it into village green because there isn't enough demand. So please, if you know anybody who might want to fill in a form, particularly those people over 20 years, if you've got any photos, videos, I say this every week, but I really do mean it. And I'm going to set a deadline in a couple of weeks now because we're going to hopefully get some legal representation in place, and we will need to submit this as evidence. We need to get round to it ASAP because obviously there is not an infinite deadline to this. So please can I ask people, I will post on Facebook as well.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Sorry, Kate, in terms of going forward, is there a threshold of how many forms you need to make it viable to take on legal representation?
I honestly don't know, but to me, 5% is a bit rubbish. I mean, thank you to all those people who have actually filled in the form and taken. I really do appreciate it. But I just need more of them. I just feel that even like a fifth of the population, which is less forms than I've given out already, which is more forms than I've given out already. I just feel that people, they could turn around and go, well, obviously people really don't care about this, and people, you know, there's not enough demand to make this into a village green space. And I just think it's really important. So I would ask anybody, please, you know, just ask the forms. I'm quite happy to deliver them. I walked 6 km a few weeks ago, delivering forms around the village. Absolutely no problem with delivering them or picking them up. And if you've got an elderly relative, for instance, who used to live in the village, get them to fill a form in. I've had people send me forms from Wootton, from Abingdon and Oxford, from Cornwall, because they used to live here and they actually care the fact that this could be, at worst case scenario, our village could be doubled in size. And that is worst case scenario, I get that. But it could be, and we haven't got the infrastructure, we haven't got the roads. There's just so much against it. And that beautiful field that have been used for generations by, you know, my grandchildren use it, but Ollie used it when he was young, sister used it. Loads of people have used that field for all sorts of things. And I just think it would be criminal to turn it into housing. I really do.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Kay, and thank you for your efforts on that. And I just hope that you know, people will fill in the forms and return them. Okay. Anything else?
There was a post on the village Facebook page saying that Maltingsfield, there's a lot of traffic still trying to get to Barrington Grove going through Maltingsfield. And I know the answer to this. They said, could the sign to the sign at the beginning, at the entrance to Maltingsfield have something was saying no access to Carrington Road.
Yeah.
And I know the answer is it's Milton Keynes Council.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But can we add it to the list, Jackie? I mean, I don't think that's.
We haven't got Carrington Road signs still.
No. Yeah.
And I think somebody put on that multiple street name one where it's Foxcovert Lane leading to blah blah blah. That Carrington Grove hasn't been put on that. There's nothing.
Well, that's on the list, Steve. That already. This is, and I think Jackie's got a meeting with Highways. Well, hopefully in the February meetings, and Russell will do that.
In the meantime, I have got an A3. I think I've got an A3 laminator. So if somebody wants to come up with a sign which says no access to Carrington Grove, we could tape it to the site, to the post that is there already. May I suggest? Something like that for the people there, just as an interim measure.
Well, a couple of signs across the road.
Yeah, I mean, actually, you know, there was a sign there for construction traffic.
But that was only construction traffic.
Yes, it was. Yeah, no. What I'm saying is, we and I think it was a kind of ad hoc laminated.
Yeah, something could do that.
Yeah,
it's a nice angling water barricade next to my house. That it could use.
Exactly.
Okay, look,
Reported, or has it been asked to be done, or do we need to? Has anybody asked?
has anyone else?
No, it was just raised in question.
Okay, we need to ask.
Is Carrington Grove on the maps? Things like Satnam's used.
Yeah, I think it is now. Yeah. Can I just make a suggestion, Russell? Would you mind raising it with Milton Keynes Council, and then Jackie could pursue it and raise, you know, and follow up. Okay. Anything else? Are there any questions about this lease document? Because as I say, Steve, Russell, and I are going to have to absent ourselves, and it is all quite a complicated document. But
Very complicated document.
it is, isn't it? I mean, I had several attempts at reading it myself, and only on one time did I get right the way through to the end, and that was when I was on a Zoom call with Russell and Bridget. It's
I think we're just going to have to trust you on this one, to be honest.
okay.
I mean,
Well,
I spent about an hour and a half reading it,
yeah,
and I'm not a master.
Yeah. I mean, it's a combination of the worst that you can imagine. First of all, it's a government document.
Mm.
And secondly, they commission solicitors who are probably paid by the word to write it. And they wrote it for a variety of options, fortunately, very much geared towards parish councils and community interest companies. You know, they were clearly looking at places where a council, perhaps a town council, is letting out a floor of a building. And so it made a lot of it very complicated. Anyway, this was the opportunity, so that's done.
Yeah, we all know there's two solicitors and lease level 3 with different verdicts on checking.
Yeah. And he's barrister with another fourth. Yeah. Right, if there's nothing else, let's move into the meeting. Apologies from Ian, who by reason of work, he's lambing at the moment, and he's got you in some trouble apparently. Declarations of interest. So Steve Russell and I are all declaring interest in 7.3. Are there any other declarations of interest? No. In that case, approving the minutes of the last meeting, the 8th of January. Does anyone have any matters of accuracy to raise or they'd like corrected? In that case, I'll propose. Can I have a second? Steve, and all in favour? Yeah, thank you. Shall I sign that? Let's now look at the clerk's report. We just peruse that and I sign the minutes. So shall we take anything on items 1 to 18 on the first page?
Item 4, which was an email sent to Simon Pearce of the City Council about action regarding the Carrington Arms. I've seen 2 people who appear to be from the council looking at the outside of the building. I just wondered if we heard back anything from the council.
No, no, they confirmed that they were inspecting on the 23rd of January. And I asked them to let me know, but they didn't.
Yeah.
It's not apparently in disrepair now.
Is it not?
That's what I heard.
What, even with that crack? Well,
That crack is big enough to put your hand into it.
Yeah, that is.
well, look, that's disappointing if that's the case. Hopefully, Jackie, you know, you will get something from Simon at some point.
I think one chair, I think we decided not to progress that.
Sorry, which one?
Yeah.
So we might as well remove that from the report.
Yeah. That was about smart water packs.
Yeah.
Anything else on 1 to 18?
Yeah, the oak tree that's going ahead, and we've asked for the water pack. It's going to be Jackie and myself went and looked in Cobbersfield, and we found a corner, not right in the corner because it's an oak and it's going to grow big. Yeah. But it'll need a water bag on it. Now it's fairly near to Scott, but he'd have to shin over that fence.
Fairly near to where, sir?
Scott Pearson.
So yeah. I was gonna ask him, but if he won't do it, is that something that you could occasionally sort of pop up?
I certainly want, yeah, I'll have a look at it. I mean, I'm not going to be around tomorrow, but I was going to go up and have a look at it because I just realised it's been planted.
Oh, is it been planted?
Yeah, it's been planted.
Yeah.
There is, yeah. There is
Yeah.
in it.
I mean, it won't need it.
It doesn't need it till spring.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to take a wheelbarrow like I've done before from my house.
Yeah.
Seriously, I used to take drugs and water.
Really?
To the ones in the nursery.
Yeah.
But
You said it's right, it's fine to.
Okay. Well, look,
I'll leave it with me.
yeah.
Yeah, leave it.
Just a matter of interest as we're on that topic. Dina is going to get Drona to water the new one on the triangle in the summer. When it comes to it. Anything else on this one, 18? No. Shall we then look at 19 to 24? Any comments there? Need Ian really to update us on
Well,
19.
to get these three silver, sorry, item 20,
Yeah.
do you know when they're likely to come? Because there's been quite a lot of planting going on around this area, hasn't it? On the Wolfstein, Abersham Road.
Yeah, they planted down Ocean Road.
About six trees,
Yeah,
and one of them upstairs.
probably.
So the three that they're referring to here, they are looking at again this month.
Yeah,
Milton's council were going to plant them, but now they're contracting it out to somebody else.
yeah.
It's two different things. The planting that's just gone in is part of 225 trees that have been planted.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant.
Yeah,
And these three are a separate thing that were
Yeah,
in situ at the station that they were going
we
to.
just keep it out.
So they, yeah.
so we are actually going to replace one in Castlefield, one of the.
Well, we've got three coming, but we don't know when and where. Well, we suggested that they would go down by the new bench.
So we're not going to replace the damaged trees down there in Castlefield because of the historic England situation.
No, you can't.
We can't.
Can't do
We
that.
can't put a shovel in there.
No, but they said you can use existing homes. Which you might get
Well,
away with.
we could put one there.
I mean, with a younger tree, you might get away with that.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get, quite a cavity.
Well, when they first mentioned it, I thought it was going to be something they were going to deliver and do some quite quickly, but it seems like it's going to drag on, so I can get permission, because they did say that we could do like for like, so.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to have trees there.
So I'll start the
Okay.
process of getting.
That's very good, yeah.
They do.
I have to say, that's not the attitude they took in the fish ponds, where they made us
No, that's
slightly
just
further back.
ridiculous.
Anyway, there we go. And then, Russell, item 21, have we, and Jackie, have we got a location for the dog bin in the Shepperton?
Yes.
It is. Okay,
They
good.
can we
Yeah.
remember that, at the same time, the neighbour of Truck Close has asked for the one.
Yeah, I did ask Mark
Castlethorpe
about that,
moved
he
down
doesn't
the-
think he can move it, but he's going to come out and have a look. He
Okay.
was supposed to come.
Well, if they can pick that up, and if they can knock the door and just
Yeah.
say, doing it, because the.
I mean-
Noise nuisance and noise nuisance.
Yeah. Where is it at the moment? Is it on the entrance to Castlefield?
It's just, as you come through the gates,
Yeah.
coming from Truck Close, it's by the fence, it's meant to be on the fence, but it's by the
Right.
fence on, your right hand side.
One of the thoughts I did have was that if we are now allowing dogs, if we decide tonight that we're going to allow dogs to transit the
Yeah,
sports ground, which we'll come to, whether it would be good to have the dog litter bin, pretty much by the entrance.
Yeah. Obviously it would have to be Truck Close side of the gate,
Yes.
but yeah. I mean,
Now, whether that's just, they're all going to say, well, that's actually worse or not, but it's, we always try it and then.
we can't, I can go and ask the neighbours.
Yeah.
The people who live around there, and say,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Because I think the danger is, otherwise people will transit the field and we'll start having, dog poo bags hanging on the exercise equipment. and that sort of thing,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, it doesn't logical that people would take the dogs on the sort of down and then walk down into Castlefield and round.
But on the other hand, people coming out of Castlefield will almost certainly come up to that gate, if you see what I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I think it would capture the Castlefield traffic as well as the sports ground traffic if it was by that gate.
yeah, and of course, the other consideration, which in this case you wouldn't have a problem, is Marcus would have to get to the bin to empty it, and if it's by the gate, you have no problem at all.
Well, if you would canvass the neighbours and just, I mean, to be honest, it's only going to affect, I've forgotten his name now, the in Julian's old house.
Yeah, Ross,
yeah, and actually the Birchells possibly, but
Yeah.
actually the Birchells are quite away from it.
Would there be like one that you could get, which is a silent close, rather than, because some of them are metal.
Yeah,
They make quite a noise.
I mean, they
but
do
bounce back.
have two problems. One is noise, the
Yeah.
other one is smell.
Yeah.
So they have both of those.
Well, I think for the moment we're talking about, and again, remembering cost,
Yeah.
because they are quite expensive.
But I mean, to
if
move
we
it,
really
I don't think where we move it to will be an issue.
Yeah.
So-
Well, if you would like just to say, you know, we're thinking moving it here because dogs, if we decide tonight that dogs can go in this sports ground, then that would be okay. If you that'd be great.
I can see that.
Right. And then we've got a section of highways 1 to 16 points. I mean, Jackie's just going to raise all these, and yeah, I mean, it's just getting to be a bigger and bigger list. Anyone want to raise anything on it, or shall we just move on now? Okay.
Oh, sorry, can I just ask, the path that goes round South Street, beyond, Morton's Field, is very uneven. The footway as you're walking out South Street is very uneven. It's been like that quite a while, and I did trip it. It is tree roots, but
Yeah.
it's not good to walk on.
No, but they did actually do some work on it, because I brought that up quite a while ago. And, they did actually do some work on it, but I don't think they're going to fix it with trees there. Because unless they literally dig it all up and cut the trees down.
Well, I mean, you can do it. I mean, they did actually do it on the footway but opposite the shop, where there were tree roots, and you just, because all that's happening is the tree roots are pushing it all up.
Yeah.
So if you take out some of the soil, you can make it level again. And they did do that. But I mean, I've reported that bit down in South Street, but you did it more recently, and you did get some action, Kay. So that was good. We could try adding it.
Yeah. I mean,
Still very bad. You do
Again,
the
I
light
think it
is
would be
bad
good.
as well, so.
Rather than asking Jackie to report all this stuff, we take it on to report it, and Jackie can put it on the list to chase up.
Okay.
So if you would,
That street lamp as well, there is still trees haven't been cut.
on it, so it's still quite. And
No, we've been told that's us, isn't it?
Hmm?
We've been told that the street light is us, isn't it?
Whereabouts? We did the one by outside the
There's one
school.
opposite the church, on, not North Street. Yeah, oh, sorry, I'm talking North Street here now, it's confusing. Okay, so the one just before you go to where the school is, there's a, I have reported before, we're going to fix the ends of the trees. But I'm not sure anything happened.
Oh, are you talking about halfway up the path towards the thatched cottage?
Yes.
It's the, what's the name?
What, Rowan and Jamie?
No, McDermott.
Oh, Gavin and
Gavin.
You were going to talk to them.
Oh, did I? I know I spoke to her about this public art thing this week. I was it on the list? Pop it on the list again for me. We'll do it.
It's just quite dark there, and again, it's a little bit uneven there, so it can be quite
Okay.
so,
All right, I'll do that. Let's move into the meeting then, if that's the rest of the meeting. Ward councillors, what's the news from the front?
There's not a lot of news to report, to be honest. I think the first thing to say is that the budget council's coming up in February. The council published final budget.
Yeah,
and chance to get the days of comment whether there's anything different from the draft budget which could affect us, but I will let you guys know if on review I do find something.
Yeah.
The other thing to note is my ward budget application's officially gone through, so hopefully Jackie's now something on that £500 for the senior citizen lunch held back in December.
Okay, thank you very much. I had a very interesting aside with Jenny Wilson-Marklew when I was in a meeting and parish advisory group, and I said, you know, the problems we were having with highways. I did write to councillors afterwards about this, and to which she said, "There's no problem with potholes. In fact, the government has given us more money than than it costs to fill all the potholes in Milton Keynes."
Big staff do, was it this Christmas?
Which I found quite an interesting comment, given the list that we're now maintaining, but I thought you might like that.
That is
feedback.
interesting. No,
Yeah.
definitely not what I get told in my meetings with highways.
Well,
That's probably what Jenny Michael Wilson.
Yeah, I mean,
as well.
Yeah.
I don't know who do you have a kind of shadow highways?
Me.
Oh, it is you?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I'd talk to Jenny then.
Yeah.
Say, and by all means say, Phil says that you told him.
Yeah.
So,
If you forward the email, then.
no, it was
I won't
conversation.
know.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to hear what the definition of pothole is.
Well,
Yeah.
that is the point, of course. I mean, the Bullington End Road, is in just a terrible state. But the holes have got to be a certain diameter and a certain depth. And apart from the one that they badly filled, I don't think they are. I mean, it is dreadful. And all the access roads into Castlethorpe and one or two estate roads, and I'm thinking of the Chequers in particular, were completely resurfaced about 12 years ago or something. The one that wasn't was Bullington End Road. And in fact, I don't know, Dave, if you can remember the last time Bullington End Road was resurfaced, but it goes back a long, long time. Personally, I prefer they didn't do it now, because you've got all those lorries hammering down from Hounslow Park, and they just destroy it again. But once that, eases, I think we would like, Jackie, for the resurfacing. I think you put it on the list to try and press for it to be done, because it's really bad.
Well, yeah, I mean, one of the things I've been constantly chasing Graham Fox about is for a document on what the requirements are for roads to be fixed. Because the amount of times I've reported issues and we get, this isn't at the required, the required, whatever it is, they base it on. And apparently there is a specific, it's not always depth, apparently they also take into account how often the road's used, how many people use it, and things like how likely it is to get damaged again. So I've chased about 3 times. Every meeting I have, I say, you said you sent this over. So we're still waiting for that, because
I think some of the problem is that it's not just car drivers. You get a motorcycle, and actually in the dark, it's impossible to see where it's potholes.
Oh, yeah, no, very dangerous. Yeah.
And, they're waiting for that to happen
Yeah.
before they actually do anything. The road out here is resurfaced, and it's already, the potholes are incredible.
Well, I don't think it is. I think the pothole here is
This
beyond.
is the new time.
Is it? Well,
Straight outside 6, can't remember which one, 16.
yeah, but that's the old time. Anyway,
Anyway,
let's not
absolutely,
start doing
it's
that.
On the
Right.
new time.
Okay. We've got the list of highway stuff. Let's move on then. Clubhouse report, if we're ready. Hickfords have completed all they're doing really, really well on the pavilion side. But they're doing really, really well altogether, actually. But the pavilion, all the internal walls, drains, doors, the electrical installation have been done. The electrical installation is about 80% complete now. The new doorways, the new fire door at the back has been cut in. The redundant doorway, which is the old fire door, which opens into what will now be the Clubhouse, has been blocked up. A new door has been cut and is temporarily blocked between the pavilion and the to-be Clubhouse. So it's and in fact they're actually doing some of the internal decoration now. They're actually painting the walls. So the sanitary ware will go in this week. This month. The electrical work will be done and the decoration completed. So the only thing in the pavilion half that won't be done is the flooring, which I think they're going to wait until the Clubhouse side is built, because obviously they've got to join it up, and I don't think they want to do that until then. On the Clubhouse side, the concrete foundation has obviously been poured, and the oversight is in place. The groundwork was supervised by an archaeologist. Fortunately, nothing of archaeological value was found, so we were able to get on with that. Block work for the walls started today. And if you go up there, you will see that there is an issue that we are going to have to address, which is, it's amazing how deceptive the eye can be when it looks at ground. It falls away a huge amount.
I really thought that was a bigger fall than we were anticipating.
Yeah, that's right. So we will have to try and get some topsoil and so on to bank up against the lower part of it to anyway, there we go. A site meeting has been held with building control to go through everything that they want. And there are 1 or 2 queries we've got. The January invoice is the RFO payment schedule. And I would like to thank Luke Jeffries publicly for all the work he's doing. He's managing this on behalf of the Parish Council with help from Ian Horn and Lawrence Chapman, and they are doing a blindingly good job. On the phase 2, the fit out, we're continuing to define the equipment that we need for a basic kitchen and counter service. We've had 3 reference visits now, and we've got 1 last one just to complete. Ironically, it's the nearest, it's Hounslow. And I think we've got a pretty good idea now of what it is that we want, which is important because it plays into the grant applications. So Russell, who's been leading on that, has put 1 expression of interest into the National Lottery. The grant application to the Community Foundation was well received, but a decision's been postponed until April because they want a bit more information. And the BIFA one, the waste recycling, is on hold at the moment because we need that more detailed information on the equipment that we're going to put in, but we also have to have the lease and business case, which gets discussed in 7.3. And giving thanks again, Lawrence Chapman is again playing a blinder on this. He's leading phase 2, and Bridget Richardson, who's helping Russell, Steve and me with the governance activities, including the grant applications, the business case and the lease. Invitations to join this public art advisory group, which we approved last meeting, will be published shortly. I mean, it's just pressured work that I've not been able to get onto it. I have arranged for the lady at Milton Keynes Council who manages this to come to a kick-off meeting. That's Cllrs Ayles. I have spoken to 3 residents, 2 of whom will sit on the group, and the 3rd one may well submit a piece of work to be considered, which is interesting. Anyway, we'll get that set up and publicised and go forward with that. In terms of the 3rd phase operation, Castlethorpe Community Space has now got an empty bank account. It's got a bank account. Well, subject to the final check, which is to make sure that Steve isn't laundering money on behalf of the mafia. But other than that, we've got that. And I would repeat that what I said last month, that although the building will be completed in April and usable in a basic form for cricket tees during their season, the fit out is dependent on these grants, and most certainly will not be ready for general use until the autumn at the earliest, and even later if we're not successful with the grants. We'll just have to keep going, applying for more grant giving bodies. And in any case, as I've just mentioned, some of the grants are being delayed a bit for various reasons. But once we can see a site of it opening, as I said before, membership will be open to all residents, and members will then be able to elect directors to run the clubhouse as members wish. So anything on the clubhouse anyone would like to ask? No. In that case, let's move on then to 5.1. As I said before, the only planning application is our own under the tree in Castlefield. And no one wants to raise anything, can hardly object to it, can we? Taking section 6, which is a report back on previous planning applications, we'll take it as a block. Has anyone got any comments or observations on section 6? I mean, I think residents might be interested to know that, because we think this might be one of the reasons it's been held up, that the Simon Hill has got approval of his boundary treatments and surface water drainage, which I think he was having a problem with those conditions, which is why, maybe one of the reasons, we don't know, that the houses over there haven't had any work on them. It all seems to have ground to a halt. Right, in that case, we'll move on to section 7. 7.1 is to agree to a public excluded part 2 of the meeting. I'll propose that. Can I have a seconder? That's Kay, and all in favour. Thank you. 7.2. Steve, would you like to take this item?
Yeah, we've had, I think now it's 7 responses back, Jackie.
Yeah.
4 of them have been from small companies and 3 have been from individuals.
Yeah, just for residents, this is for the applications for a groundsman at the sportsman.
Yeah.
No, but you didn't say that. We
Oh,
haven't introduced it.
sorry. Through a combination of circumstances, we need to change who will be fulfilling groundsman role at sportsman. And we put a couple of ads out on Facebook, to which the deadline's now for responses is now finished. We've had 7 applications, 4 are from small businesses and 3 are from individuals. I've had a chat to small businesses and told them that, you know, as 3 of the applications are coming from individuals, then, you know, if you're above a certain level, then there's very little chance that that on cost grounds alone that we would actually go with you. And a couple of them have said, well, look, we'll try and get into that space. So we've got really 3 individuals and 2 small companies that we will interview in the next couple of weeks. Jackie, did we send the further form out to the individuals?
We're waiting to get approved.
Yeah, sure, we're waiting for it. I remember now. Yeah, so we're going to, there's no point in sending CVs out to these companies. They've all got like presents and things like that. So we'll send form out through the 3 individuals that applied, just asking for previous experience, why they want the job, etc., and what kind of rate that they're expecting. When we get those back, we'll arrange interviews, and as we stand here, Jackie, myself, and Ian Markham then interview and pick the best one.
Yeah, I mean, the resolution is actually to delegate authority.
Yeah, so
has anyone spoken to Ian, as he's not here tonight?
I think you said to him that he said he should want to be involved.
Yeah, okay.
And it makes sense. He is best placed.
Right.
And also David Spinelli would be.
And David Spinelli through the CSA. So it's just yeah, as you say, the resolution is to actually approve us to select a best candidate.
Okay. All in favour?
Thank you.
That's great. Very good. Right. Now, so Steve, Russell and I have to adjourn for a moment. I think we'll just go in the kitchen if that's all right. We will have to elect a chair for this item.
There you go, Russell. That'll be Dave then. Too much of a break. Yeah.
They're going to hide as well.
Okay, Mr. Chair.
You all know what this is, to authorise the clerk to sign a lease of the new clubhouse building to Castlethorpe Community Space CIC. Did you see the special bill put out?
I haven't got
Oh,
had time to read it, I'm sorry.
I've read the smaller ones.
Yeah,
I had a quick flip.
I assume these three know exactly what they're doing, therefore I'd be quite happy to go, yes.
They'll be signing this. Yeah. On their
Yeah.
behalf.
From their bit, yeah,
Yeah.
on the instruction of them.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, based on the fact that we have to trust what they're doing, and I.
Yeah. And I know
I know
it's
they
taken
take a long time.
Yeah.
Go through it. catch up with it.
Well, that's the proposal, we're happy to accept that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And second.
Well, I think everybody,
We've just.
agreed unanimously.
We're agreed.
Okay.
Put the blame.
We said no, by the way.
Yeah,
We didn't like- we wanted to do it all over again.
Yeah.
because we don't
Just
like the middle
Little
bit.
bit.
Well, if you give me the reference number, that's the paragraph we don't like.
Yeah, 10.3.
Just give us the English to read, that's all.
Should be up instead of down.
Right, very good. 7.4 is to permit dogs in the sports ground, providing they're kept on the lead. Do not go on the playing surfaces to the north of the footpath, and the dog owners pick up and place waste in the adjacent dog bins. And to put up new notices that affect in due course. Okay.
It concerns me a little bit, I'm not gonna lie, because people don't pick up after their dogs, as you see all over Facebook. I literally trodden some dog food going around the short block the other day, need a notice, and it seems to be more and more. So may I suggest that we do it on a trial basis, and it is only on the pavement?
Yeah, one of the reasons for this, just to give you the background, is that when we were talking about the clubhouse, it was that particularly if you're going to have things like a morning coffee service, one of the groups of customers that this would appeal to would be people walking a dog and you know, and going in, and so to cater for that group of customers, we wanted to have this. Now, we could have left this till later, but it just seemed that, and actually I have heard residents, or some residents of dog walkers saying, well, won't be able to use the clubhouse, not interested in that because, you know, we walk our dogs.
Yeah, I get that.
We don't
but
want to.
For me as well, it is a place where children play sport. And if there is dog poo all over the field, that is really not nice and quite dangerous. So I'm just asking, could we do it on a trial basis first and see how it goes, not make it a total.
The answer to that, Ken, is we've always got the option at a later stage to reverse this.
So we could reverse it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine, as long as it's not
If they're going to be
set in
kept
stone.
in the lead, they've got to be kept in the lead, got more chance of people picking up after them.
I've already seen people letting their dogs out on the sports field there.
Well,
Literally
that's another one.
a mouthful of abuse back when I say there are signs saying no dogs, and they're literally letting them run all over the pitch. So I'm just aware
Well,
that
I
not
tell you-
everybody is I mean, 99.9% are responsible dog walkers, I get that.
Okay.
But
Okay, I mean,
just kind of devil's advocate.
the current ban on dogs being there came about probably about 2010 or so, and there was a problem with I think on the then football field, they were having to clear mess before they could actually play. And I still remember, and I actually wrote a public, it wasn't a public space. I basically wrote the order in the form that Milton Keynes Council had, and took it up to council and had it put through. But Peter Geary was at the time the cabinet member responsible for it. And I still remember him actually coming up and meeting him at the sports ground. And he said, oh, is there any mess anywhere here? And he goes, whoops.
But I think
but in fairness, I very rarely see mess. Well, actually, I haven't seen mess on the sports ground. I don't think I've seen it.
yeah, because dogs are banned, but I mean, and people but what I'm saying is around the village,
Yeah,
the dog mess is certainly getting worse, and going up to the railway bridge where the weight restriction is before the cycle path, that's like dog poo alley.
yeah.
And people
Well,
are.
look, hang on, but
So all I'm
let's
saying
say is, yeah, all
As
right.
long as there is
Okay.
a proviso that we could go back if people abuse.
Well, we can always go back.
Yeah, that's
It's-
fine.
Yeah, but, anyway, that's the proposal that we do that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think we've all got concerns because the reason, there was a reason why I was put there in the first place. But it's a valid argument. If people are saying they're not going to use the sports ground, the clubhouse, if they're not allowed to take dogs, it's something we have to consider, and this is the answer, isn't it?
Yeah,
The only
yeah.
answer.
And actually, I mean, we also know that even with cricket, when they have visiting teams coming, sometimes they do bring a dog. And then there's a real- yeah, and football, isn't it? Yeah. And it is then an issue about how spectators and so on do make use of. Anyway, that's the resolution that we do this, and then in due course, which probably will be when the clubhouse opens, so it could be a while yet, we'll put new signs up. We don't know what the sign will look like until we've got, everything up.
Were you thinking of waiting until the clubhouse opens to allow dogs in there, or did you?
Well, I think we passed the resolution now. I mean, I see dogs at a distance walking across, actually on lead, going along the path, footpaths from Thrupp to Lodge Farm.
Look at the shop and can't bother to go around the
And we
field.
have one, so.
Yeah, it's on the lead, on the path, not going fine.
It's actually impossible to police anyway.
Okay, so if we say this now, I mean, it will actually in practice come in once we put up the appropriate signs, and that I'm saying we ought to leave that for a bit, because we'll probably want a sign that has got something for the social club. We've got to think about how cricket is and football are going to be, on a sign there, and we'll put that up. Okay, I'm sure. Well, we've got to formally vote. I'll propose, yeah. So, okay. So
I'm not against it, but I just want to make sure that if there is a problem, that we can go
if
back.
there's a problem,
That's
we'll have to come back. Yeah, and I think that does tie into what we were talking about earlier about putting a dog litter bin at a convenient location.
It should be one either end, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, but they
But
are
not at the moment.
not at the
because
moment.
it's not
Yeah,
an issue.
they are. Yeah, they are unbelievably expensive. Right, and secondly, to permit bicycles. I mean, we had this raised with us before, and we all sat round and said, why did we ban?
Couldn't remember why it was banned.
Do we have the same restrictions that there in the past? Because I have seen kids with bikes going all over the cricket pitch and asked them not to, because it's, especially when it's down, it sort of marks it, and yeah.
Well,
Or do you want them on the cricket pitch?
No, nobody wants them on the cricket pitch, do they? But again, how police.
No, but if we ask them, it's a way through rather than a track for them to get. Isn't that, is that not reasonable?
I think people are most likely they're going to be just going across.
Which is a nice place for kids.
I mean, if people are riding on the outfield of either that or the football pitch when it's dry, I don't think it's really going to be an issue, is it? Or is it?
I think it's one of those things that you say, okay, and then you deal with it if it does become a problem.
I think that's right, Dave. Yeah. All right. Shall we do that then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We're all unanimous. Good. 7.6 is in order to try and help with the parking issues at the end of School Lane outside nursery, to consider borrowing child bollards from MKCC and asking if nursery staff would be prepared to put them out each morning. Now we've heard they're not, children tied to a.
I did see them with the nursery. Yeah, I did. Literally, they literally parked their car in their uniform, went inside.
What, left the car there?
Left the car at the end of School Lane, yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, some of the
But they're
residents.
not all that very considerate parties.
Some of the residents, just trying to get their car out to get
Yeah.
an appointment or work or whatever, have been upset. And we have asked the police to of PCSOs to try and patrol there.
They were there on Sunday. They went round
Well,
the village
they-
on Sunday.
Sunday.
Sometimes not Ollie said he saw them.
Yeah.
Two PCSOs walking around the village, but that was Sunday, so you're not really going to get a lot of traffic.
Well, I mean,
When they came-
we've got the two PCSOs, Terry Rhodes and Tilly, I've forgotten her surname now, but anyway, and Tilly. Tilly's, sorry?
Is it Skipping?
Yes, Tilly Skipper, that's it. Tilly's going to be with us permanently, Terry's moving on, but we've got someone as yet unknown. I'm not sure his name's not Daniel, or anyway, coming in.
It says
Right.
that the loan period is for 1 calendar month. Isn't our problem potentially longer term than that?
It is, but we really need to see whether this sort of thing works.
Okay.
And then if it does, we either have to rent them or even buy some ourselves. Or ask the nursery, given it's actually their parents who cause it, whether they would please do it.
This is where I'm a bit confused. Is it up to the parish council to apply for this? Or is it the nursery to apply for it?
Well, the suggestion was made to Jackie by Rachel Monday from Highways in King's Council. And she said, you know, they've got this scheme, so it is to the parish council initially. But I think you're quite right. If the problem with blocking in primarily occurs with parents dropping off the children from the nursery. So I think it's not unreasonable for us to ask the nursery to police it. Indeed, I think the first step that's always been taken is, I think you've spoken to the nursery before now, Jackie, to say, you know, please could you ask for parents not to make sure school lane is not blocked.
They did reply to say they would do that, but also that some of them, it couldn't run to the school as well, because they've got a breakfast club. So if people park there and then run up the school lane to the school. So they were taking responsibility for it in totality, but it's between them.
Okay. All right. So are we all supportive of what? Yeah. So yeah. So we tether children at the bottom of school lane. RFO payment schedule.
Completely, isn't it?
It's the biggie.
Okay, so there's just the usual
70 grand.
the usual 70 grand, yeah. So we've got the usual for charges for Jackie, Stacey and Sue and Marcus for their routine work. Marcus charges annually in advance?
Yeah.
Annually in advance, so that's why it's come up quite large there. Then we've got Anthony Thompson, who's been doing the building regs submission, which we suddenly realised we were going to have to deal with or to do, and he's doing very reasonably, actually, I have to say. He's not an expensive architect, and because they were talking about having a what's it called, a structural engineer do some of the roof trusses, and that was 500 quid just for him, just for that one item, which Anthony said, no, you don't need that, we'll do it. And I think Hickford's are doing some as well. And then the big one, which is the second payment for the Clubhouse works, which is now these payments, Hickford's submit their schedule to Luke Jeffries. Luke goes through it, and then he has a second set of eyes, being Ian Horn, and they're both in construction, so they know what they're looking at on this. And they basically said, yes, this is fine for us to pay this, and it's actually a bit less than we were expecting this month anyway, which is something we'll come on to later. And then we've got the usual standing orders for utilities. Any questions on it? Okay, I'll propose, I need a seconder then, which is Russell, and all in favour, unanimous. Okay, so I'll second this. Oh, the transfer there, of course, yes. So we now come on to 8.2, which is the details of the PWLB loan. Oops, thank you. Bring up the table. Now, I basically went onto the PWLB website to look at their repayment terms. And I printed the document, or put the document into your packs. Mine is hesitating for a moment. Just give it a moment to get there. But basically, they've got two methods of repayment. What they call annuity, which I think is just a repayment in equal amounts every month, or you can pay back the equal instalments of the principal amount of the 50,000 that we're borrowing. And that actually gets a marginally lower. Oh dear, this is, I don't know about everybody else's, mine is stuck. I'll do it from memory. You get a slightly lower rate of interest on the equal instalments of principal one, as you can see. And I highlighted in yellow two terms, which we could either do 30 years or 20 years. Well, you could do anything else if councillors like anyway, but I just highlighted those for you to consider. Can you just slide down to? There we go, thank you. Now, the thing about this, we budgeted 4,000 as the repayment, and these are half a year, and these are half yearly payments. Yeah, and as you can see, they're all not huge amounts difference between them. The two annuity payments are both under 2,000. The equal instalments of principal, one is just over 2,000, just over 4,000, and the other is nearer to just under 5,000. But if you also look in the total cost column on the right, I mean, it really brings home to you the impact of compound interest.
Yeah.
It really does, doesn't it? Because if you look at the annuity for 30 years, even though the monthly payment is lower, you're actually paying a total of 103,000. So it's more than double, just over double the original 50,000.
Yes, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. The lowest one is repaying by equal instalments of principal over 20 years, which is 76,000 in total. And we kind of budgeted on 4, but actually there was a little bit of other slack in the budget, and we will only have one payment in this year because of when it occurs. So it's really next year where we will have an increase anyway. Honestly, this is for discussion. Okay.
So if it is set payments, then at least surely you know what to budget for each year. Whereas, I mean, do interest rates affect it? If it's
No, I think this is fixed.
yeah, so if it's fixed, then to me that makes more sense. But me personally, if I was sitting there, I'd want to know how much is going out every month.
Yeah.
At least that way you can budget for it and you know exactly what's coming up in the next few years. Whereas
my understanding is all four of these, we know what the payment is going to be.
Can we overpay? Can you pay off early?
Yes, you can. And I have enclosed the calculation for you.
It's worth the lease.
We don't pay,
I've got to sit through this one.
we go and get we could get a pint glass, put it at the start of the sports field, and like the church did,
Yeah.
build up, we can fill up the pint glass as we reach the point.
It's a
Look,
very good point, Don.
It is,
Seriously, yeah.
where IL is the loan rate and ID is the discount rate, is IL into D2 minus D1, which is the number of days in the current period since have you read this thing?
No.
Yeah, if you just open it up, I mean, it is quite an interesting formula. Look, I mean, in all seriousness, yes, we can repay it. Yes, you can repay early, but and there is a worked example they give as well, so it's not quite as bad as the.
In the long run, shouldn't we go for, from a village point of view, shouldn't we go for the one that costs us the less, at least?
I think,
Yeah,
I'm rather.
Yeah,
because that's a huge difference. If one's 76 and it's 103, that's 30,000.
Well, those are the two extremes. There are ones in between there, but
Yeah, but I mean, that's a lot of money.
it is.
The other thing as well, of course, is every year the actual value of the repayments is easy because of inflation.
Yeah.
As well. So in 20 years' time.
assuming inflation happens.
There's no guarantees of anything, is there?
Yeah.
I think it'll be around when it's paid off. Not many of us will be.
Well, the useful K and the useful Darren will be, but I think the other three of us will be.
I'm going to do 20 years.
Darren, I feel fairly insulted to be the same age bracket, to be honest.
I'll retire when it's
I'm old
paid
enough to
off.
be in trouble.
I'll get to retirement age at the same time.
Well, you'll be chair.
Yeah. I think for sure I won't be. Be lucky if I'm still here.
Least expensive.
Anyway, look, I think we've, this is something that we are going to live with for 20 years, or the village is going to live with for 20 years. So, does anyone want to speak on any other option other than the 1K is favouring, which is the EIP
Fixed.
fixed? Yeah,
What, 20 years?
20 years. Yeah.
20 years. Yeah. And we can afford that, that's 5,000.
Yeah, I mean, as it happens, by the time we take this out, it will be in April. So it will be next April, which is the next financial year. So we'll only have 2,500 to make this.
That's the only other point I've got to, well, a point I've got to raise on this. This is obviously going to go toward the kitting out or not. Is this construction?
Right. The way we've done this is 10,000 is absolutely committed to the construction, and always was.
Of the loan.
Of the loan. In fact, it may go up a little bit because as we've come out, as we found, the value of the bonds, the sport ground bond, it's lower than we'd hoped. Another 10,000 we have tentatively earmarked for change orders. For example, things like I just said about this fall of the ground. And,
but again, actually,
so the 30,000 is kind of put aside for fit out.
I think my main point on this is: are we likely to be looking for more loan money?
Well, I think that's something we're going to have to. That's a bridge we're going to have to come across. Possibly. I mean, I don't know. I think it would be very, very disappointing if we didn't win any grants at all on this, and I think we'd have to reconsider, how we go forward. But for the moment, there's 30,000 towards the fit out, which is, is what we've got.
Because my main concern, I mean, I can see we've got to do this, but my big concern is that we take on a debt, big debt, for 20 years, and it may end up being a futile debt. Because we might reach a point, if we don't get any grants, where we say we're lumbered with the debt, we're not going to complete what we started unless we take out another loan, which may not be feasible.
Yeah.
So that I'm just saying that is my big concern here.
Yeah. I mean, we have agreed that we take out the 50,000, we've already made.
We've
that
already
decision.
done that, yeah.
So what this is about is,
How we pay it back.
how we pay it back. The other point I'd also argue in favour of the shorter term is that a good chunk of this, or 30,000 of it, is for the fittings and things that are inside. And you've got to look at whereas a building, you might well say, well, that's 30 years, 40 years, you don't have a problem with it, the building will still be there. But the internal fittings, may not last that long. So,
Well, they'll also be the make or break as to whether it's successful.
That'll also be the things that the longer you wait, the things are going to go.
So, the shop's been going for 17, 18 years now, and it's still got its original equipment in there. It's been had attention done to it, but I think 20 years is a prudent.
Yeah. So I think I just personally feel that's to be said.
Yeah. Are we right? Shall I therefore propose that we go for the 20 years EIP option? We may do a couple of final checks just to make sure that's all, because of course I printed this off a couple of weeks ago. I don't know what's happening with rates and so on. They may even come down a bit, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Bank of England held it the same, didn't it? On that basis, we'll go forward. I think. Yeah. Right. Now there is a formal set of wordings that Jackie's quite rightly pointed out, and the reason that we brought this up. We're not increasing the precept for this, because precept is set. So the wording that has got to be approved in order to go forward for the loan is this: it was resolved to seek the approval of the Secretary of State for Levelling Up Housing and Communities to apply for a PWLB loan of £50,000 over the borrowing term of 20 years to be used towards the construction and fit out of the Castlethorpe Clubhouse. The annual loan repayments will come to around bump. It is not intended to increase the council tax precept for the purpose of these loan repayments, and they won't. We've set our precept. It's not going up anymore for that purpose.
So the clubhouse is not affecting the precept.
It's not. No.
That's good, because some villagers mentioned that, so that's really good.
Yeah. Okay. We have set the precept. It's a serendipity on time. Right, so on that case, I'm going to move that resolution.
Need a second.
Need a second, yeah. Oops. Steve, and all in favour, yeah. Okay, thank you. It's an expensive Dutch council meeting, isn't it? Right. Correspondence received. Is there any correspondence we need to note? Any other business? Well, there was 10-1 was the Gobbersfield forms, but Kay has already mentioned that.
I'm quite happy to mention it again. It's been UK in late, if you haven't, please, unless you want to find a gigantic housing development in the village, it could very well happen.
Steve, you've got something?
Chair, hold on, we just need to. That time.
Okay, I've got two.
Yeah. Last year, we had the gas prices zoom through the roof from something like 4p to 20p per unit. And the parish council elected to go for a 1-year contract with British Gas Lights. And so we were doing this through an agency, which I think was Bionic. And I contacted the agency and said, we need to take it, we're going to take out a 1-year contract with British Gas Lights at that, but it will only be 1 year, and we'll want to actually review that next year when we're hoping that prices will go down a bit. Now, they did that and the contract started. And when we actually resolved to actually go over to a new contract at the start of this year, at the end of the 1-year contract. The contract came into place and got rejected on the basis that we'd already resolved to actually take out the contract with, who was it, Jackie?
EDF.
With EDF through Bionic. Now, I have absolutely no recollection of instructing them to do anything after the cessation of the 1-year contract. I wouldn't have done. It was the reason we were going for a 1-year contract was
See what the rates would be.
yeah, see what rates would be there. But somehow they tied us into a, what's it called? They've tied us into some kind of contract where they automatically choose who's best for us well before the contract finishes. Now, I would never have tied ourselves into that, but Jackie got in touch with them and they offered us £1,400 to see this 2-year contract through to its conclusion. Now, Jackie, Russell and myself, we didn't involve you, Phil, because we know you were busy on other things and we're agreeing to this. We each had a look at this and we think that on current consumption, we will be £700 better off in taking this £1,400, I don't know what you call it, gesture. The alternatives are going back and challenging and asking what I did, because I think either they misled me or I didn't say it in the first place. I would not have tied us into anything like that knowingly, but it will be hassle to actually reverse it. And as we're going to be £700 off on current consumption, I think if the consumption does go up, then that means that that's good news for us anyway. So I would recommend, and I know we can't make a decision, we just said that the three of us agreed that the best thing to do would be just to go with it because we won't be out of pocket. But you know, I have no idea how we got into this position.
I have to say that I contacted Barney when we were looking for quotes back in December, and the guy I spoke to, I left six voicemails for him to call me back, and he didn't. I then called somebody else, and they said the only person that can deal with it is the look I originally contacted. So I think the total shambles.
Yeah, but did they not put anything in writing as a matter of interest?
Well, they didn't. The emails fell at the time that I was handing over to Jackie, and there were a couple of emails then that fell between two stools. But they didn't actually. No, they didn't actually send us an email to say that the contract was actually renewing this year.
Until after it had gone live.
Until after it had gone live. So I'm sure that they're wrong. I'm absolutely sure. And if we thought it,
okay. What I would, I mean, we have to be careful because we can't make decisions because this was not.
No,
the agenda.
we can't.
What I would suggest though is, you know, given we are where we are, and actually we're not worse off.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that we don't make a decision to challenge it, as it were. But I do think it would be worthwhile putting something on record, formally in writing, that at the end of this, you know, they're not to roll over.
Well, we've done.
Oh, you've done that.
We're ahead of you on that.
Yeah.
And we've got a commitment. Their commitment that £1,400 will be irrespective of consumption.
Okay.
Because I mean, it's possible that they're assuming our consumption will be double what it actually is.
Yeah, indeed.
So, but we have sent the email.
Okay.
Jackie's sent an email saying, subject to approval at the parish council meeting. As you say, we can't actually approve it, but you know, but we will go with this. But we're not happy, and we don't want to be part of any agreement beyond this contract.
All right. Well, you sound as if you protect this in the future, and we're not actually worse off now anyway.
But I absolutely.
But it does. I mean, I have. You do hear on some of these consumer reports of these brokers playing very fast and loose with residential customers, and it sounds like it might be.
There is absolutely no way, given the circumstances,
No, I know
that we're at the maximum payment, but I would have agreed to anything other than just the 1 year contract, and then we'll look again.
Yeah, well, that was the whole, I know, Steve, that you would never do
Yeah.
that because, yeah, you're. Okay, all right, well, that's where that is. Any other business that anyone wants to raise? Next parish council meeting is Monday, the 4th of March. And just to remind everybody, I'm just trying to remember who's coming now. The new city plan meeting is at Castlethorpe Community Hall on the 7th at 6 p.m.
This Wednesday.
Which building is that? Is that?
That's one where the sports ground.
Not really.
Yes. Okay. Well, in that case, if I can, I'll now move to close part 1 of the meeting. So thanks to any of you who've been persevering up to this point, and we hope to see you again on the 4th of March.
And don't forget the thing.
And don't forget your final word from Kay.